One of the rudest awakenings that people with mild cognitive impairment get is when they discover how unsympathetic society is to their condition. I talk about this quite a bit. It's kind of shocking how thoughtless and unsupportive people can be when they find out you have MCI. But what hurts most is when that lack of support comes from your own family. And that's what my special guest wants to talk about today. Hi, I'm Tony Deering of GoCogno.com, the website for people with mild cognitive impairment. I belong to a private Facebook group for people with MCI. And here's what someone posted the other day. It touched off quite a conversation because it's something that so many people with MCI experience. It just so happens, shortly before that, I did a Facebook Live with Cheryl Freed, who is a family coach at Kemper Cognitive Wellness, and she addressed this very issue. I thought she offered some helpful insights, and I want to share those with you today. Here's Cheryl.
But for a lot of reasons, I often hear from people with MCI who say, my family just really doesn't understand what I'm dealing with here. They're not very supportive. They're dismissive, or just not understanding. And I need help and support from them. I'm not getting. And I know you see that in families. So, what are some of the
Mhm.
ways you help families where the person with the memory problem is experiencing that?
Yeah. I think just talking about it and just allowing people to have feelings. I'm a family coach at Kemper Cognitive Wellness, and most of the people that I'm working with are spouses. Because just think, you've by this time you've probably been married for 40, 50 years, and you guys have this wonderful relationship, and you know what things mean, and you like everything to be the same. And how hard is it for the person that they don't want to admit there could be a problem, because that's going to change their life too. Nobody wants to see their spouse change. Nobody wants to think about how that's going to impact their life. But for better or worse, here we are. We have to figure out another way, a new way to communicate, but allow each other to have those feelings. And then the spouses also have to allow, the person with MCI to have those feelings too. That, again, no one is more frustrated than they are that they can't remember, or they lost chunks of time. So just having honest conversations with each other instead of just pretending it's not happening. I think a lot of times we get ourselves in trouble and we get more frustrated because we just don't want to pretend. We don't want to say that it's actually happening. So then we either get angry about it or we just ignore it. Because I just think honesty is the best thing, and to have a conversation about it and keep working on it and telling each other when you feel bad about it and you're hurt by it, and just figure out, what are you going to do next time? My aunt and uncle call it a do-over. If you're getting a tough situation, they'll just say, okay, do over. And everybody's got to forget what just happened. And let's just move on. And what are we going to do differently? And I like that whole concept.
In terms of how the family may be responding, um, could it be maybe, rather than a lack of sympathy or sensitivity, maybe some denial? Like women with MCI, like the family still wants them to do the Thanksgiving dinner, but mom,
I
you
know.
always do the Thanksgiving dinner. Do the Thanksgiving dinner.
Right. Right.
But how? What kind of a role does denial have to do in this?
Tony, I'm so glad you brought that up. It has everything to do with it. You really are going through the whole grieving stages, anger, denial. I don't want to even think about it. And then hopefully you get to acceptance, and you get to that sooner than later for both parties. There is hope. There's things we can do. So we don't have to make that always a bad thing. I do believe we can live well with MCI. I do believe, there's things we can do to feel better. And I love that you brought up the Thanksgiving dinner, because that's a classic example of, I may not be able to do the whole Thanksgiving dinner, but I surely can help with something. I mean,
Mhm.
it is a lot to put together a Thanksgiving dinner, from the shopping to the cooking to the decorating to, who's coming, guest lists, RSVPs. And, does everything have to be that complicated anymore? And you can do a lot of different things. Maybe we still all get together, but we order food. Maybe some of the kids start having it. For the first time in my adult life, my youngest daughter is having Easter. And it's an evolution that it's probably meant to be, but she needs to learn how to do it. That's just part of transitioning through the generations. And I can do my parts and I can be still helpful, but what a relief and less stress it is on me. I noticed every year it was getting harder and harder for me to do it. I wanted to do it, but we figured out how to do it and we all just changed it up a little bit so we can all be happier doing it.
Thanks to Cheryl for sharing those insights, and thank you for joining me today. I'll see you next week. Until then, be kind to your mind.